Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dark Marketing. And in this video we're going to talk about, is SEO dead? Well, I don't think so, and we'll discuss the reasons why. And of course, the future of AI and how we use it in our day-to-day lives and where things are going and how to sort of take in all these rapid changes that are going on right now that are upsetting the entire SEO world. So, with that being said, guys, this is Dark Marketing. I'm your host, Big Dom. Let's get started. Now, no matter where you are in your journey of the road of SEO and marketing, and whatever your particular business type or platform is, it's important to remember some things that, perceptions that form over time. And basically, I've been around a long time, so I've really observed from its infancy how rogue technologies have impacted our lives and changed the way we do things on a daily basis. However, you see a lot of, there's a lot of panic due to AI, and everything is changing because it's reacting to what's going on with AI. Google recently reported that it's cutting back on its generative AI experience for the time being. A smart move because trying to jam some extra stuff in the top of something that already works. I mean, Google's search engine works really well. Now, its game is off of late because they're involved in a lawsuit, and we also are aware that, AI shook the whole world up because so many people started to jump into it. But it's important to remember that most people are not using AI in their daily lives. And in fact, the range of people that use computers, they vary wildly. And as younger people get into it, they're able to do more advanced things. But there's a lower, what I like to call the lowest common denominator user. And basically, they use the internet for YouTube, email, Google search, and Microsoft Office products. That's kind of how I define the lowest common denominator user. And as they graduate to other things that they may have to do, tends to be the older people are, the less savvy they are about the technologies that we're all using in our daily lives. Okay, so it's important to understand, while it has an incredible impact, the impact is really at the level of guys like us who are in the SEO world. And rather than panicking that somehow AI is changing things for SEO, you want to learn to adapt, okay? When a rogue technology comes along, and AI is a big one, okay, to say the least, and it's like a tidal wave, a tsunami. And when a tsunami happens, there's only two things you can do. You're either going to surf with that wave to higher ground and learn to capitalize on the experience, or you're going to get washed away. It's pretty simple. And so, rather than panic that AI is somehow going to, change everything, the objective of every guy that's in SEO, marketing, or even in your daily business life wants to capitalize on ChatGPT because it's much like an assistant that can really aid you. And I think people misperceive its capabilities because it's not Skynet, gentlemen. It can't do advanced thinking. It is a simulation, artificial intelligence. It only is appearing to be able to think on its own. It's not really thinking on its own. You must give it the information. And of course, it has information that it can draw upon. But because it's just drawing upon information and data, excuse me, that's out on the internet, it's not always capable of administering common sense. It makes a lot of mistakes. But with good direction and supplying it with information, it's a tool that's invaluable. And the marketing and money-making opportunities to create services with AI that can be marketed are just, at this stage, almost unlimited. And things are changing and evolving so fast, it's almost hard to say where it's going. Things we can be doing today, like, for example, I'm creating GPTs with ChatGPT. I'm creating them for my clients to help them automate tasks, to make it easier for them in their development processes and SEO on the back ends of their website. I'm also leading out with a new strategy to start selling GPTs that are SEO related. But Is this something that's going to last? Hard to say because the technology is evolving so rapidly. And we just had the new announcement about GPT-5, and basically they're saying we're not ready for it yet. I'm sure we're not, but I can't wait to embrace it, to ride that wave, that tsunami, and see where it takes us. Now, going back to Google, Google also recently announced that despite some revenue loss, that they are going to be investing even more heavily in AI. And what does that really mean? Well, AI is sparking a revolution, and it's not just about the end user experience. Rather, it starts with semiconductor and semiconductor chips, okay? And these technologies, they require more bandwidth. So it starts to go from, all of the things that can make AI happen in a way that's far more robust than we experience it currently. But we could, except for bandwidth limitations. So there's a whole range of new emerging technologies that are going to really be able to even integrate with AI further. So we're talking about things like LiDAR, GPS, and radar, sensors, which are part of the primary technologies that make all of these other technologies possible. But AI requires bandwidth. So what you think of bandwidth with your cell phone, 4G, 5G, that's not really real 4G or even real 5G. But right now, what the telecommunications manufacturers and industries are trying to do, and this starts at semiconductor and ranges right from sensors to the cloud, is to increase the capabilities to do greater bandwidth. Because you could literally right now have holographic assistants powered by AI, but the bandwidth isn't there yet. And that's why they're going to 400G and 800G transceivers, optical transceivers, that can generate far more bandwidth capabilities than are even imaginable today. And they're right around the corner. So that's where the race is, because all of these things that require data centers, more comprehensive, better equipment, bigger fiber optic transceivers. And so that is where the real investment is, to grow the data centers and the types of equipment. And the race is on to bring AI to be a much more robust, interactive experience in our daily lives. So how are we going to combat these rapid changes, even in our day-to-day experiences with SEO? By embracing it, getting involved and being a part of it. Not fearing what is going to be lost, because rather, things are going to change over time. And look, I play a video game. Just one game that I play religiously, well, not religiously, but probably for the last 6 years or more. And it's a flight simulator battle game. And it's one of the most realistic. It still has a small but loyal following. But one thing I've learned in playing this game over the years is that tactics change. It's a very realistic experience, and that it, just like fighting in a jet simulator, you change tactics. You learn new things to defeat your opponents, and those changes start trends in the game that other players pick up on it. They learn to adapt, or they develop a counter strategy, and there's a constant changing of strategies that go on. And this takes us back to my poker scenario, okay? Because that is also much how poker is. That learning to play your game strategically and change your style of game to be deceptive, to not be easily read, okay? For me, SEO is about avoiding the red flags, avoiding the common repetitive things that everyone else is doing, and looking for a new way to tap into the algorithm from a different approach. Thinking bigger, thinking outside the box. And like all of you, in my world, I have many different types of clients. And they're not niches necessarily. They are mainstream companies in highly competitive environments. But it can be much the same for niches nowadays, because everyone's on the internet. Every single interest is being pursued out there, and there's an opportunity for anyone to create a website or a blog or sell products or services around a niche that, if there are enough people interested in, there's nothing for them locally. They're not going to go to the local store for it or find a local group about it. But on the internet, it's where the whole world can get together in a single resource and exploit that niche or market. So, much like a video game, business, warfare, life, if you don't change and adapt and overcome and move forward with the latest and greatest technologies and integrate them into your life and business strategies, you're going to get washed away in that tsunami. Okay? So learning to be adaptable, and one of the best ways you're going to do that is with starting with some simple products like ChatGPT and getting involved and learning the basics, because it's not hard. It's very friendly. That being said, is SEO going to die? Look, a lot of people have gotten hurt with the helpful content update. Now, I spend a lot of time during the day, a lot of long hours in this office, but I'm listening to YouTube. I'm listening to a lot of interviews, a lot of the, top guys who are trending right now and having a lot of success in their respective markets or niches, and listening to what they have to say, their case studies, the people they interview, and who's being impacted, who's potentially overcoming, and who's not, okay? And a lot of people are getting hurt over the long term. And as I said, you have to understand, Google's in the business of making money. And so there are many, many sites that have benefited from Google search results. And, something I noted that was interesting, Google recently commented that it may take several months for them to determine that you really made the sort of changes that matter long term, or some words to that effect, which, like so many things, are mystically, like they're, you must, meditate on other people's web pages to find the solution. Sorry, no. You've been making too much at the casino table. And what I'm really been looking for is someone who's got maybe a good case study of the sites that run Google ads versus the sites that use other ad sources for their Google revenue, and or have they dropped using Google Analytics? Because even though Google says it doesn't penalize you for not using Google Analytics, you're going to do better if Google can understand you better, and they're going to understand you better if you're allowing them to track more information. I've come to that conclusion quite some time ago. But, others have a different opinion, I'm sure, out there, but most people have a much more narrow field of reference. There's a lot of great SEO guys, but they're only great in a prospective market, whereas I try to draw upon what's going on with everyone, because I hear clues in every type of business website, whether it's a blog or a Shopify or some other platform of what people are trying to promote, because they do vary. There are, people are seeing different results, and I imagine, I have a sneaking suspicion that probably if you're running Google ads, you'd find yourself doing much better in your search responses, because they're going to benefit as well versus people that are using Mediavine or other platforms for their advertising. Now, one thing that seems painfully obvious to me is that Google is figuring out that it is not ready to integrate AI into its search results. And if anything, what it's going to be doing is looking to use AI to manage its search results much more efficiently, okay? That is where a lot of the strength of it's going to be. And like always, it's going to become then a battle of technologies, AI versus AI, how we use it to score in their system. But scoring isn't enough. Having something of value at the end of the rainbow really matters. If you're a blog site, you don't want to just be creating high-ranking blogs, but you want to create an audience that wants to come back to your site for continuous use. And of course, that's not going to fit everybody, because if you're a travel blog, not everybody's always reading all the travel. I know there's people out there, they dream about vacations, 11 months out of the year, and on that 12th month they take that trip, and so they do a lot of reading and research, and there's all of that angle. But there are many genres or blog types that may only have an interest when people have a need. Maybe it's they're having a baby or they're getting married, okay? So those type of things. They're not going to get the same recurring visitor forever and ever and ever, because you only get married once, twice, maybe 3 times, but it's not like something that's going to be incorporated into your, annual lifestyle or daily, weekly, monthly routines. That being said, everything is a little different. And because everything's a little different, that's where we want to really find the ways to capitalize on that. Now, Google, like I said, they have a very successful platform. The casino is making money, and they realize that throwing AI into the mix didn't really help things, okay? And while the search results are bad for many people, I find it highly exploitable at this time for many of my clients through the other weaknesses that have opened up in the algorithm, okay? I'm getting multiple search results responses for a single phrase for a single client in the top 10, things like that. That's not supposed to happen. So clearly, there's some holes in the algorithm, and they're looking for ways to tighten it up, and they want to make sure that things stay profitable. But as I said, this is ultimately, for all the casino metaphor and gaming strategies of, say, blackjack and poker, poker is the most applicable in this case, and that's because the people who buy keyword ads, that is where they're making their money, and where the people who buy those keyword ads, they need to have someone to compete against. So again, they need SEO guys. So when you're talking about SEO and the big picture of competition and ranking your clients, this is a good thing. But for the guys that are in the blogosphere or a lot of even the Shopify sites, they're taking the algorithm for the helpful content update. Many of them are taking hard hits. And that little clue Google said it might take some time. Yeah, it's going to take some time. You know why? Because they want you to have time to consider buying keyword ads. Okay? And that's just the way it is. Now, they're not specifically singling you out like there's somebody physically there with a checklist, but they have worked something into the algorithm to make a change. That change has caused exploits to also open up. So there are other opportunities to recover from a helpful content update. But it's going to take in some cases, some radical change. For many people, I don't recommend necessarily doing anything radical except to continue to do what I always recommend, is to keep your content always updating and changing. You should be regularly making modifications, changing some titles, meta descriptions. With blogs, I tend not to obviously change the titles, but I will go in and modify meta descriptions, and there are certain things that I may do that fall under my SEO, secrets utility kit that I will modify that exemplify changes. So I like to, rather than reacting to every little algorithm change, I'm always employing a whole series of changes, and then when the algorithm changes, some things are going to go more positive and some things a little more negative, but I always have a balancing effect, and that's been my overall strategy, because I'm not playing at a single table. Even for a single client or a single phrase or group of phrases, I'm playing multiple tables. And by playing a bigger game, more pages, more content, and trying to tap into all of the strategies. Like many of my clients never had blogs before. Wasn't required for their fields. Even some of the very big, high technology companies, they do not all have blogs. In fact, by and large, the majority don't. But the big leaders that really can afford to have technical writers, because, blogging for a semiconductor equipment manufacturer or something in high-tech fields, the writer must have knowledge of those fields. So it's more difficult for them to really create engaging blogs. Many of them are more like sometimes press releases. However, the whole environment has changed. And in my case, like for some of my premium clients, I actually write their blogs for them. And of course I use AI, but I have technical knowledge that I bring to bear. And I've had success that has exceeded my expectations with my approaches. But of course, I'm trying to break 3 barriers. These blogs have to really present well for the client. They have to be really informative and engaging and about the latest trends related to them. And they have to be technically accurate, okay? So, and they've just really it's been sort of an exploding factor to tap into the Google algorithm, because Google likes seeing new content. It's hard to often, create new content for sites that have a fixed product base, okay, especially in high technology. And unless they're coming out with some new system or new version of that system, there's not a lot of new stuff to often talk about. So getting them into a place that you're not only trying to maintain changes in their websites, but by incorporating blogs. And then, of course, the external factors that I bring into play, the link building aspect. And this really has a significant connection. But of course, if you're in the blogosphere and that's all you do, you're going to have to break into a different type of strategy for that. And some of them, and myself included with sites, going to have to just ride it out a little bit and realize that, this is why, as I listen to some of these interviews, the guys who are older and even more successful, they're often pining about, or guys are asking, what would you do if you were just starting fresh in 2023 or 2024? It's a common question that I realized today listening to a video I've heard before. And I can hear the trepidation in the voices of some of these guys, and they're far more successful than me. A lot of guys like myself, we find our happy place, and, we didn't have to go out and, I have some very high profile clients that, they're my bread and butter, and I don't need to do any of this YouTube marketing softwares or, any of that stuff. I can sit in here and play video games and just worry about my clients. I got them for life, and I get new ones from word of mouth. And, mostly I turn away work rather than take it on generally, which is why I created my link building service, because it allows me to really, provide a sort of a training platform for people. I'm only providing the external strategy. They do all their own internal work and markup, and, keeps me free to do the things that I really want to do most frequently. And of course, to spend time learning about AI, because AI is a game changer, and there's so many opportunities. And many of you are watching my channel who are looking for things to market with GSA website contact, and even with, that's the starting point. But like I said, all these things that I do, they are encapsulated into much bigger, you want to bring all these guns to bear at some point in your overall strategy, direct marketing with the website contact, GSA website contact, SEO, having a website, having a good marketing approach, in your website as well, excellent SEO, YouTube, all of these things, social media. These are the whole game plan that's going to bring success. You're going to start with one thing, but you've got to sort of grow yourself into the ecosystem and be kind of giving those signals off all the way around. Now, that being said, and one of the reasons I really don't suggest making radical changes is because a pattern that I'm observing in some of the case studies is that those that have been hit the hardest by the helpful content update, they have a lot of competition. There's plenty of room for the algorithm to put other sites to come up in the responses and play them down. There's a pattern that seems to exist with some of them, that once their traffic hits a new plateau, which is lower than it was before, it tends to stay there, almost as if Google has put a cap on it. It's not the same for everyone, but whatever that cap is, they seem to be sitting there. And then Google gave us a little clue, I think, when it said it may take a little while before they catch up. Okay? So while they might be trying to make their content more helpful, there's other agenda in there, as far as that I can see. Because the companies, the websites and platforms that I've seen, some of the case studies who have successfully just seemed to bypass the helpful content update issues, it's because they don't really have competition. Their niches are so narrow that they are literally the only real site with any authority on that topic. And so those, there's not as much room for the algorithm to play the competitors up against them, okay? The more competition, the more the algorithm is playing against the players that were benefiting the most in the beginning. Understand? Now, do I think SEO is dead? No, because while there seems to be this sort of dark cloud hanging over everyone with the helpful content update, I found it to be extremely beneficial in my business. And those that, obviously, if people take hits with SEO, they start looking for an SEO specialist. And in that regard, it's been a good thing for business. On the other hand, okay, is, people start saying, hey, is SEO dead? They see that AI, big neon sign. They keep passing it on that dark highway. All they see at night, they keep seeing another glowing billboard. AI, ChatGPT, is SEO dead, right? And we start to develop this perception, perhaps, that, maybe that the case. No, it's not dead, okay? Google's game is not going anywhere. But it is going to have some changes, and you want to roll with it. And, of course, AI gives many people an opportunity to now, instead of play one poker table, to play 4, 8, 12, 50 even. They can create much more content. Be forewarned. I'm also noticing a trend for those that create high volumes of content too rapidly are also getting helpful content penalized, okay? Google is aware of time, and there is an unnatural time factor to posting too many blogs, okay? So, if you're doing a strategy where you're trying to soak up a lot of ecosystems with a lot of sites, then pace yourself out across those sites. But if you've got a single site, a single niche, you're not going to be, putting up 1,000 blogs a week, or, it's gotta fit to appear natural in the ecosystem. And Google is recognizing there's an opportunity to weed things out, much like as it relates to link building. Get too many backlinks too fast, red flag. Doesn't happen like that. You have to grow into the ecosystem with that, and gradually develop a reputation with Google for having a high volume of backlinks. It doesn't happen overnight for anyone. It's the fastest way to get penalized. And now I'm seeing those same analytics or scoring mechanisms being applied to actual content that is rankable for Google search results. So that's just my, what I'm gleaning from listening to a lot of people on YouTube. Now, my day starts pretty early here in the morning. I'm generally in the office 3 a.m., 4 a.m. the latest, because I like to get all of my software setups for link building done in the early hours. And during that time, I spend a lot of time listening to the news, Bloomberg, financials, and of course YouTube, especially all of the things that relates to the work that I do every day. And I, for me, have seen nothing but opportunities with a lot of the changes that have been going on. But I'm a skilled poker player, and I've been around a long time, and I know how to change my game, change my battle tactics, and have more than one thing. And I'm constantly finding myself challenged with new things and looking for new ways to find ways to rank and score and get my clients into the game on the big money table. But and I seem to always do that, but that's because it's a process that has to work out. Now, just like a casino, there's new games, and those games have AI, and so we have to learn how to use AI. And therein lies all the opportunities. Now, at the time that this video gets posted, I may already have another video going up it's a Shopify SEO basics markup, and at the end I'm going to talk about a GPT that I created that my clients have been using for their Shopify sites. And then I'm going to start to lead into more things about GPT and AI and useful ways to integrate them for both SEO purposes and for marketing purposes in the realm of a lot of the things that we do with the softwares on this channel. Now, it's important to remember that 90% of the people that use the internet are lowest common denominator. It's the other 10% of us that are actually shaping and driving the trends that help Google evolve in what it's actually presenting, okay? And like I said, like with the example just a few minutes ago with weddings, you might not have the recurring visitors, but with a site like that, you're going to be changing things all the time. There's going to be new fashions and new types of wedding dresses or that sort of thing. And those type of changes, you see how those stimulate other metrics. So there's always, whatever your particular niche or genre is, you have to start thinking about outside the box. And sometimes it's going to be something much more radical. Maybe it's about also changing the style of your website and things like that, that shake up Google a bit more, where you're going to tap into a metric of something that somebody else does in a different marketplace, but it's the same thing. A lot of wedding bloggers out there, right? So that being said, you got to really think bigger than just the markets that you're competing in and take a little bit of what's going on in other genres and marketplaces and business types. And those provide clues that are going to help you get ahead. Because like I said, Google's got a winning platform, and 90% of its people, they're not ready for AI or ChatGPT. And I work and talk to clients every day, and they are some very smart people, great salesmen, sales reps, scientists, engineers, researchers. And when I ask them, are you using ChatGPT? They say no. And, there are other people in their companies, they say, well, people are trying to use it to get marketing info or things like that. And I know a lot of those people in the marketing departments, and they're hoping ChatGPT is going to think for them. But that's not how it works. You really have to supply it information. And I'm going to be doing videos about GPTs now and other routes to explore AI. Because, of course, I get so many people asking me, what can I market? And in today's world, there's so many things that you can get into marketing. You don't have to be a coder either anymore. But even if you want to get into coding or do something that requires some code with just some minimal learning basics of any coding language and then bringing that to ChatGPT, it can write the code for you, and you just really need to understand some basics. And I use it all the time for little coding solutions. I need something, and I go, I got to think about this right now. I go, oh yeah, ChatGPT, I need a little JavaScript that does this. Bada bing, bada boom, it gives it to me. I copy and paste it right in, and I'm on my way. And so many other solutions. And so now I'm thinking about, a lot of the other opportunities that are going to come out of this. And I've been using ChatGPT since its inception, and I want to be on the cutting edge of this technology. There's so many opportunities here for SEO and to help my clients utilizing it, because most of them, when it comes to technologies, it's always a young man's world in the sense that things come much more easily to youth. A lot of the things that people, and they get caught up in more trendy things like TikTok, because it's fast, it's short, it's attention getting, and it keeps moving, and it's never boring, and great for people with short attention spans. But that is not all of life, and not everything fits under the same roof. So when it comes to helpful content update, my advice to a lot of guys out there, and I don't know how many people actually come across my videos who probably are a lot more famous on YouTube than me and maybe actually watch, but my advice is write it out a little bit or take a look at something else that fits your construct but is a different marketplace and isn't being impacted in the same way. Now, because there's a game going on with Google, and there's a lot of deception in its speech, in my opinion, how it presents things in a sort of, like I said, this vague sort of almost, I was making some jokes with a friend of mine, almost Zen-like fashion. But in one sense, I say to myself, well, you're talking to the Zen master, because that's what I do. I think deep about these things and about if I was Google, if I was on the other side of that wall and I'm trying to make money, make revenue, maximize, how am I going to maximize AI for my users, for my money-making experience? And, because at the same time, it's going to hit an apex. Google cannot lose the guys that drive the people that are going to spend money. Now, of course, there's other people that are, in many areas where there's a lot of competition for certain types of blogs or websites, there's room for Google to play this game because it can let others with, who are clearly their content is not helpful or as helpful as others, and yet they're clearly ranking, and they've got room to sort of play the algorithm that way. They've got enough lesser sites to diversify them, to give them higher rankings, to get the guys that really should be crushing it but are being forced low time to think about, maybe I should spend some money with Google. But Like I always say, never. I tell my clients, if you're buying Google ads, you need to stop immediately, because now you're not just competing with the people, for organic search results, you're competing with the people for the paid results. And on top of that, Google, I firmly believe, looks at you differently. I've had clients go against my advice in the past where I had them literally crushing it, and in some act of you get people in the marketing departments, they think like I took a Google Analytics class for beginners, and they suddenly think they're going to make marketing decisions about Google, and they decided to start buying ads, and then not following my advice, started tanking the explosive results that I had developed up over years for them. And of course, didn't take them long to realize, they were like, well, hey, Dom, what happened to the leads? What happened to the leads? You started buying Google keyword ads, and they cut a huge portion of the rest of your organic results. Why don't you try turning that off? And which they did. And then gradually over a few weeks, we restored our market share. So if you think that Google isn't in the game of making money or playing its users, I see too much with companies that are in competitive markets, mainstream, to not see the pattern of this. And that's all that's going on with Google, is it's trying to figure out how are we going to maintain our product base, which is, the people who use it, and not let AI take away. I think they just saw so many people flocking to AI that they saw it taking away from time on Google. But Google is same thing. Bing, Yahoo, all these other search engines, they're there for a purpose. There's a certain user experience we are accustomed to, and it's not going away. And I don't like the idea that AI, if I search for something, AI is only going to give me the top 5 results, or something that it made the determination, and I can't go through and really look at the results long term. And when I want to go past the first page, the second page, the third page, down further and further, and I want to see other results beyond the top guys sometimes, right? And I'm not going to get that experience, because sometimes 10, that's not enough. We want more. And that's why Google changed its layout from clicking to the next page to continuous scrolling page by page, because that's what people want. It only took them a couple years to figure that one out, right? So, sometimes it takes a little time. These small little changes, they matter. It didn't really change the search results, but it enhanced and made more valuable even the results that go beyond the top 10. Because of course they're jamming you with a ton of other stuff in there. They're giving you the sponsored. Other people asked questions and certain things, and they've been experimenting with other ways to put up some relevant results with, like sometimes you get that card at the top that really is like an explainer. When you search for something, somebody's got the site that actually says what that is and explains it in a way, even though the end user is not asking a question. But Google is not going away, and neither is SEO, because to say SEO is going away would mean Google's going away. And I don't see AI taking away the experience of Google. It's almost like, I don't want to liken it to reading a book, but there's also that experience of reading a book that you're never gonna, you're not gonna get the same experience. You're not gonna read a book on your computer. You might read it on your reader or your tablet, but it's a different experience. And the experience of Google is not going away anytime soon. And I already, anybody that uses AI enough knows that you can't even trust what it's telling you. And even in Google's generative AI experience, I couldn't trust the results, because I was searching things for my clients that are much more high tech and realizing, yes, you don't know what you're doing, Google, because you don't really understand this stuff. It's complex, and it's not something the average person knows. And so AI, like I said, it lacks a certain common sense, and you get to understand that, and especially in the daily use. I have so many bad sessions where I just want to, say, what's wrong with you, ChatGPT? I'm giving you a simple instruction, and it just keeps brain farting, making the same mistake. A simple instruction over and over again. And that's because it's not all there yet. It's still got hiccup. hiccup like a robot bouncing off the walls when it gets a glitch in a movie. Okay, it's a long way from really being intelligent by any means, but rather it's a very powerful tool, and it's a tool we want to utilize in our daily processes. So in closing, guys, Google's not going anywhere, okay? Its overall format and operation is not going anywhere either, because that is the main casino game, okay? And it needs us and we need it. So I don't see things changing radically. The real big enhancements for AI are still a ways off until we see the technologies really finish developing and being put in place. Right now, the race is on for everyone to grow their data centers because they need to store more data, and for the optical fiber transceivers, everything from semiconductors to sensors and all of the technologies that come into play that can really make AI dramatically impact our lives on a much larger scale. But in terms of the internet, look, this is always where the cutting edge has been. No matter what you're doing, you can't go to school or a university and learn a programming language and be on the cutting edge, because what's really happening on the cutting edge of that language or skill set is on the internet. You got to be riding the wave, and the wave is here, and AI is a tsunami. And that's why in coming videos I'm going to start to really explore and share how I use AI for every aspect of things I do, from my link building campaigns to blog creation, content creation, both on a large scale and an individual, how I really, bring that skill sets to bear. Now, myself, I actually have writing skills and wrote blogs prior to the advent of ChatGPT, and for my clients as well. But that, I think, maybe perhaps gives me a bit of an edge, but I don't think that anyone that reads or spends time on the internet or looks at even other blogs, you don't have to have a degree in English literature to start to learn to understand, what really makes good content. Just like when somebody learns about how to get into antiques, you don't start overnight. You buy a few books, you're going to house sales, you learn. It takes some months and years, and people evolve with it over time. Little skill sets like that, and it's much the same with just about everything else we do in life. Look, where you start today is the beginning, always. There is no beginning and there is no end. I have a broader experience or overview or perception about how I see things unfolding over time. However, when it comes to learning something new, you're never behind. And ChatGPT and AI is just in its infancy. So we're going to be exploring that. I'm going to do more videos. I had been contemplating another channel, but I really just don't have time for anything other than the things that I do and this one channel. So I want to try to integrate it all under one roof, because it's all related. It's all SEO, it's all marketing, it's all about being on the cutting edge. And that's what we like to cover here at this channel. So I hope you really enjoyed this video and just this sort of talk about my perception of things. And that if you like this video and you want to see more content, don't forget to follow us and give us a like on the video. And remember, if you're looking for a pro SEO agency, to visit us at SEOdepot.com for all your SEO needs. Whether you're looking for link building services for your website or agency, full on-site SEO services, or you're a local business requiring local SEO, we will customize a package for you to bring results for you in your marketplace. That's it for this video, everyone, and have a great day.